Good morning, good morning. You find us here in the presence of the old men of the African bushveld. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buffalo bulls. It's very nice to have you along wherever you are in the world. In North America, you're probably an insomniac. In Australia, you're probably settling down to your afternoon tea or a gin and tonic. And in Europe, well, you're pretty much on track with us, and you're probably settling into a morning coffee. We're out here in the Greater Kruger National Park, 2.2 million hectares of sublime African wilderness. Behind the camera I have Andrew, who looks a bit like Freddie Mercury actually, so it's a little disconcerting as we drive along. In the control room we have Nikki and Eugene, and on the other car we have Scott behind the camera, and Chris, who's trying out today as a presenter, so please send him your warmest energy across the satellite waves or however it's done. He's going to be trying out for us today. So, and my name is James, by the way. Most importantly this morning, other than the wild animals that we're hopefully going to try and show you, please feel free to talk to us. We love it when you communicate through comments or questions or anything else you'd like to say. Hashtag Safari Live is the Twitter handle, and the email is questions@wildearth.tv. The moment you can't phone us, sorry about that. So my plan this morning is there was a male leopard found in this area last night, so we're going to try and pick up his tracks once we've finished looking at these buffalo. I'm not going to move just yet, because we have just had heard the sound of some lions roaring just to the north of us. Sounds quite far, probably off the reserve that we're on at the moment, but I just want to sit here for a while and see if we can't hear them again. And I believe some of you who've been watching the Djuma cam have had lions or heard lions early this morning at about 5:30. So that's pretty good news. We're quite a long way from that area now, and the lions that I heard calling certainly weren't calling from that area, so there might be others in the vicinity, which is great. So you can see these old bulls, after an exhausting night of standing about eating grass, are now starting to lie down where they'll chew their cud and spend most of the day doing that. They'll eventually, if it warms up, the temperature outside is about 15 degrees Celsius. For those of you living in the 17th century and still using Fahrenheit, that's about 59 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's a bit of cloud cover. It sort of feels a bit like there's a front end, so I don't think it's going to warm up that much. So the point of that story, of course, is that the buffalo will not necessarily move towards their traditional. They'll always move towards water if it's a bit warm, but today they might just lie here. And the reason they need water so much, especially at this time of year, is that their digestive systems are very efficient. But when it gets dry like this, the only thing that limits their ability to extract nutrients from the bush is water. They must have water. We've got lions. Got lions. Andrew, where are they?
Straight on the road.
Andrew spotted a big male lion coming down the road. We're going to sit right here. Well spotted, Andrew. There's that big male coming down the road. Big black mane male. Isn't that magnificent? Look Look at the dust settling. The flies are flying. The oxpeckers are going. Just sneak a little bit forward. Well spotted, Andrew. Look at him. Here he comes. Your Majesty. One great cat has put all 8 of those huge buffalo to flight. I'd be fascinated to know from our regular viewers who know the lions around here. I've never seen this male. I'd love to know who you think he is. Apparently he might be part of a coalition of 2 called the Matimba, which means strength in Shangaan. He's a magnificent beast. Look at him. His big black mane. That's quite interesting. He's rolling in the buffalo dung. Or certainly where the buffaloes were lying. It's not a very royal thing to do, of course. You can see that he's got a... Gosh, he might call. His big black mane is a testament to his age. He's really in the prime. So a few of you have come through and said you think he's a Matimba male. Oh, look at him. Marking territory. That is the king in his prime. And that his brother, he's making some contact calls, so his brother may be around here. I haven't heard a response though. I'm going to turn quickly. Thanks to Chris and Blair for that information. There you can see the buffalo waiting for him. It's a big group of buffalo bulls. And he'll be a little wary of them, but you can see how they responded to him. Those buffalo are all watching him very carefully. Now they're coming forward and he's moving away. Watch this, here they come. Here they come. And discretion is the better part of valor. Not really sure how we're going to follow this because I don't want to get in these buffaloes' way. Try and flank them on the side. But you can see how they have no patience with this big lion. They've gathered their thoughts, rallied around, encouraged each other, and now they're going to show him what they think of him. We don't want to get in their way. They'll be in a very heightened state of alarm at the moment, so we want to keep our distance. These big old bulls. Okay, I'm going to try and get round them. See if we can't follow the lion. Andrew, they come at the car, you hold on. Alright, there we go. We've got negotiated the beefaloes. We'll see if we can find the lion again. Tracks are going down this road. I hope we can find them again. See them anywhere, Andrew? Speed along this road and see if he doesn't come out here. Can't see his tracks on the road. There he is. He's in front of us, marking his territory. Unfortunately, he's heading quite fast towards the southern boundary. We've had an incredible sighting of him. So exciting to see a big male like this in his prime. Can you hear him? Listen to him. Rubbing his scent onto that worry bush. The animals, the grazers don't eat, so the cats often use a worry bush to mark on. Comes. fascinated to know where his brother's gone. He's listening. I can just hear his footfalls disappearing now. So I'm afraid this is the end of that sighting, because he has crossed our boundary. So what we'll do is we'll drive back up on the same road we were on and see if maybe his brother's behind him. I think it's unlikely. From his direction, I would say that he's probably heading towards his brother. What a magnificent sighting that was. That is a really exciting thing to find after 2 very quiet days we've had, and my first time with a male like that for a great deal of time. Right, so we're going to turn around, see what we can see. I just want to quickly show you his tracks, so you can see exactly what a fresh male lion track looks like. Can you get those, Andrew?
Yes, okay.
I mean, be careful of just hopping out the car in a situation like this. That's a 180 to 200 kilogram animal. Which one can you see, Andrew?
That one.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. And he's hardly made an impression. I mean, were I to walk across and my handprint would make more of an impression than his paw has. So even though he's 180 kilograms, I'm just looking around, he will leave hardly a mark as he moves. So you can appreciate how difficult it is to track these animals. Right, we're going to turn around, go back past the harassed buffalo, and see if we can't find the brother. Magnificent start to the day. Well spotted, Andrew.
Thank you, sir.
While we carry on looking for the brother, we're going to link you across to Chris. Please bid him a very warm welcome, and I'll see you just now. He's got Scott behind camera, so I'm sure they'll have some interesting things for you.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to finally meet everybody. My name's Chris. I'll be taking you on this portion of the live safari today. Just a little bit about myself. I've been a guide now for roughly about 15 years. Spent the majority of my time within the greater Kruger Park area. And what we're going to try and do today is we're basically following up on that male leopard that was seen yesterday. It's myself and Scott here, and I believe we've had quite a treat that James has provided. And what we'll do, oh, look at the kudu. Now kudu, being very typical woodland creatures, got very large ears, so you can see there. And that is a vital adaptation for living in this very thick woodland savanna region. The main predators being leopard and lion, they need early detection methods to be able to early detect, and they rely heavily on their hearing. And very importantly, their camouflage. As you can see, they've got those lateral stripes running down the body, the white facial markings, the markings on the legs. As you can see there, it makes them disappear almost in total. And what a vital skill that is. Just breaks the outline, merges with the background color. Kudu is quite a widespread antelope, found in the majority of the savannas of southern Africa and further abroad, stretching right up into East Africa. The one that we have down in the south there is called the southern greater kudu, which is the larger of the different variants of kudu that is found. These are basically females. The males don't spend all their time with these ladies. They tend to form little bachelor groups out of the breeding season and just momentarily joining up with the females within the breeding season, which are not as clearly defined as what you would find with some of the antelope. For instance, Impala has got a very, very fixed breeding season, very fixed rutting season, where the males physically mate with the females. It would be good if we can see one of those males. They've got these massive, massive corkscrew horns. Definitely, by far, one of my favorite antelope. Right, what we're going to try and do, Scott and I decided we're going to check the scout line. There was some line activity yesterday. We're going to follow up and perhaps we can provide a treat. Never know. I believe I've received quite a warm welcome on Twitter. Just thank you to all the viewers for the very warm welcome. It is definitely quite a privilege to be out here in the Sabi Sands. And yes, remember there's you can ask questions, send me some questions. I'm happy to answer some questions about myself, my career, my experience. You can send questions to questions at WildEarthTV, alternatively hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Definitely nothing so far that crossed this cut line here. But we'll definitely keep our eyes on the road. Obviously scan on the sides. Warm morning, I must say, surprisingly warm, knowing the Sabi Sands, having worked here in the southern portions of the reserves a couple of years back. I could recall that early winter could be quite cold in the mornings. This morning though is slightly overcast. We're a little bit more overcast than open, but yet it's quite warm. It's quite typical when you had clouds in the later stages of the night. The clouds act as a bit of a blanket, keeping some of the radiation trapped and resulting in a slightly warmer temperature in the morning. However, if the clouds persist, find that the later morning temperature, so Scott is just helping me out with directions. You want me to go straight and then north?
Straight, and up ahead we can turn left.
Thank you, Scott. Bit of background. I know Scott and Brent quite well, having worked together in portions of the Kruger Park previously in our careers, very good friends. I haven't seen Scott in a while, so it's fantastic to be reunited with some of the old acquaintances. Thank you for the opportunity, Scott.
It's so good to have you here, Chris.
Right, we're going to be checking this cut line over here. What I did find, however, is with these overcast mornings, that initially could be quite quiet. Hi, Catherine from Texas. Catherine wants to know, as you can recall, the kudu that we saw, the hump on the back, is it bone, hair, or a combination of that? Hi, Catherine. Thank you very much for the question. The hump on the back of the kudu's neck is basically a combination of very long, elongated vertebrae, which its main purpose is for muscle attachment, which is more prevalent with the males. The males have these massive thick necks. There is a fine little ridge of hair, but in actual fact the hump is elongated vertebrae which serves the purpose of muscle attachment. With the males, as I mentioned earlier, have these huge corkscrew horns that can be over 1 meter in length. And unlike deer, they don't shed those horns. They have to carry them all year round, thus needing quite a substantial neck.
There's a kudu behind us.
Thank you, Scott.
Just keep reversing.
And could you believe it? There we go. And as you can see, just what I mentioned, this is still a fairly young male. The horns haven't finished all its turns. That is the kudu male. As you can see, there is a fine ridge of hair, which is again with the male slightly more prevalent, makes them appear larger. They can also make that hair stand up very much in the same way we get goosebumps, to accentuate themselves when they have to display when other males are present, usually in the mating season. But you can see, look at the muscular neck. Still a young male. Now kudu are mainly browsers, which means they feed mainly on leaves and herbs. However, to supplement their diet, they have been known to take to grass. And here's a speaking example. Although the bulk of their diet would be leaves as such. Here in the Sabi Sands we mainly have what we refer to as a broad-leaved woodland, which consists mainly of, or rather dominated by, a family called the bush willows, which especially in this time of the year is one of the favorite leaves that kudu would browse upon. Those horns are also a very useful tool for feeding for the males. It's been said by various biologists that the males, because of the increased size and activity have a much more specific nutritional need, often resulting in them looking for leaves quite high up onto the trees. They've been known to use those horns as leverage to break branches in order to get some of the real juicy bits. And often you would find other creatures afterwards feeding on those. This guy's in prime condition for this time of the year. It's quite a harsh period that they're going to go into. The dry season is a testing time for kudu. Kudu is often one of our indicators of droughts, one of the first animals to lose condition, especially now in our fall, where the majority of these trees will shed their leaves, with the exception of a few. And it will be challenging for this man to keep up that bulk and condition throughout the dry season, that is our winters. Hi Kathy from Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you for your question. Kathy would like to know, how cold does it get in this part of the world, the South African lowveld, and does it ever snow? Kathy, this is a subtropical savanna region with a summer temperature that can reach close to 109, if not more. Winter, however, it rarely drops in terms of Celsius. It rarely drops below 2 or 3 degrees. However, for us who have climatized here, it's quite cold. Bear in mind, our daytime temperatures could be borderline summer temperatures, and the drop in the evenings, especially early morning, from 100 to about 60, has the effect that it becomes quite cold, and it does not snow in this part of the world. It is basically too hot, and we are too close to the equator. However, if you go a little bit further west to the so-called escarpment of the country, where the altitude rises very dramatically to close to 5,000 foot, you would find that sometimes in very, very cold winters, you might have a little bit of snow. Ironically, I have never seen snow in my life. Never touched it, being in this part of the world. I've just received an update from James. He is not on the vehicle at the moment. He's tracking some lions, or looking for more tracks of more lions. So I will entertain you a little bit furthermore.
Can we reverse a bit, Chris?
Certainly, Scott.
Jump. Jump.
Hi, Lynn from Michigan. Thank you for sending your question. Lynn wants to know, having been a guide working in the mainstream lodge industry, what is my opinion and feel about this type of safari, having guests from all over the world, broadcasting directly. Well, it's definitely something totally new for me, and it would definitely take some adaptation to effectively do that exactly in the same way and duplicate what I've been doing with actual guests. However, I think and feel like there's a certain amount of freedom that is not always prevalent with actual guests on the vehicle. The interaction obviously is a big thing that's absent. The direct interaction, obviously, yeah, you do have the questions that you send through on Twitter and so forth. But I'm very excited, and we'll see how it goes. And but so far so good, loving it, and especially with a colleague like Scott in the back. What more can a man ask? What more can a man ask? I think what we'll do, we'll continue on this road and just see what comes up. The bush is full of surprises. There's always something. We just need to find them. Like James is still out on foot, trying to figure out where those other lions have gone to. And in the meantime, we'll use our mobility. Let's see if we can find something. Morning, Dave from Toronto. Dave wants to know, with kudu, sable antelope and roan antelope, what are the size differences, and are there any major differences in their diet? Well, Dave, of the three that you just mentioned, the roan antelope is the largest. In fact, the roan antelope is the second largest antelope in Africa, only outweighed by the eland. Kudu are just behind roan antelope as far as weight's concerned.
We found what looks to be the rest of the Nkuhuma Pride. Again, I was staring at the floor. Andrew managed to spot them. We're going to drive off-road here and see what's there. We've got at least one lioness. Well done, Freddie Mercury. Spectacular luck this morning. I'd love to claim some form of skill. Unfortunately, I cannot. At the moment, I can just see the one lioness. I'm just going to wait here and see where she goes. It'd be unusual for her to be on her own.
I can see another one.
Okay. Andrew spotted some more. He's got his full focus Freddy eyes on today. Can we get through this stick here?
Yes.
Oh, they're the red fit line. We will. Won't get past that one. Figure out where we are. Try and avoid damaging this tree too much. Yeah, it looks like the Nkahumas. One young male, a few others. See if we can get into a decent position. Great stuff. As far as I know, they managed to chase a couple of impala yesterday, but I don't think they managed to kill anything. The station's located Pride of Lion. I think the animals are just off Hippo Pools Road. I'm sorry, my directions are not great at the moment. Probably about 300 meters to the east of the junction, west of the junction with Cheetah Cut Line. It looks like they're going to be moving towards into the middle of the property, which is a great thing for us. Not quite settled for the day like you might expect them to be on a hotter day. I'm not going to move the vehicle just yet because we can get some nice views. A Pride, just on Hippo Pools Road. Yes, as far as I understand.
Okay, so I'll come and join you there. Come and put service with
Copy. Now I have to try and guide the other game drives into the area. Unfortunately, I haven't been here very long, so my knowledge of the roads is not great. But as long as we've got the lions. And those of you who followed the fate of this young male will be interested to know, I'm sure, how long he's going to last in the Pride like this. We really don't know at this stage. It's quite unusual that he's still in the Pride at this age now, and I suspect the fact that he is has something to do with the fact that he doesn't have brothers, which will often form a coalition and move off. So he's probably being tolerated because he's on his own, but that will change if he tries to start mating with the females in the Pride. But I'm just going to reverse and see if we can't get a nice view of the lionesses. Judy, welcome to the morning or dawn safari. You want to know why it is that the Matimba male there, I just want to get past this young male without giving him too much of a fright. They are very used to us. Judy, I'll come back to you. Sorry, little fella. Don't be afraid. It's just a tree. That's not great. Sorry, boy. Sorry, I'm just going to let him settle down again. I really don't like it when I give them a fright like that. Judy, the reason that he's on his own is that they will often patrol together, alone, not always together. They have a vast area to cover. The other male may have been finishing some meat. He might be slightly injured. He may be with another pride somewhere in the process of mating. But they don't always have to be together, although they will always be within their territories, or normally. So while I frightened this poor chap, he's giving us a rather magnificent view. But I'm not sure if you can see the size difference between him and the Matimba male that we saw earlier. He's developing the sort of strength in his shoulders and his hindquarters, but he's not as tall, and he definitely doesn't have a mane like that one. They're definitely on the move. They do look like they're going into a slight stalk mode, so I'm going to keep my distance. Try and get past this vegetation, which is threatening to hem us in here. I'm going to have to watch the aerial, Andrew, sorry. Alrighty. We're just going to cross quickly across to Chris. Say that fast, while we reposition, and we'll see you just now. Station 5 now mobile west over the west over the road. Sorry, I think you are still with me. Hold on tight. We're going to follow the pride. The young males remain behind in a very typical lion male style. I can hear some oxpeckers alarm calling off there. And so they're definitely stalking something. I'm going to keep my distance. Oh, they're stalking now. Now they're stalking. The animals seem to be stalking now. So we're just going to keep our distance here. Can hear the oxpeckers that have just risen off the backs of whatever herbivore they've spotted. One on the left, I'm not sure what you're looking at the moment. Andrew, I don't know if we can get the one on the left there. She's in the distance. She's kind of pulling some sort of flanking move, while the youngster has remained behind. So the sub-adult is being left behind. He or she is moving up with them, but much more slowly.
I can only see two, James. Can you see more?
There are more just gone round right and left.
Okay.
There's one further in front, right. I'm going to sneak slowly forward. I just don't want to ruin this for them. So they're definitely pulling some sort of flanking move here. This is the best way to describe it, is the way that the Zulu army used to go into battle, with the horns of the buffalo formation, and this would constitute the left horn of the buffalo. Go ahead.
Sorry, man. You think we can still get your visual from the road?
I'll get you audio from the road, definitely.
Okay. Just heading south from Beverly Hills, southeast.
Okay, copy. So she's the left horn. The right horn has gone round the other side, and they'll be flanking something. Craig in Salt Lake City, Utah. Welcome on Morning Safari. I bet the scene that you're looking at right now is a bit different from that outside your window. You'd like to know why the lions have got... Oh, it's a kudu. That's a kudu alarm calling. So they've been spotted. Here they come. He's running to the right. The kudus are running to the right. The lions are chasing. There they're chasing a kudu. Chasing the kudu. I think they've given up. Oh no. Yeah, they've given up. They're a sub-adult kudu they were chasing there. Get them running. So the young male is there, and here's the rest of the pride in front of us.
Jim, I drive all the way from Liverpool Road to the junction of Quarantine Road. Confirm you at Liverpool Road or on Hoover Road.
I'm sorry, man. I'm in that area of Hippo Pools Road. Can you just give me a loud rev? I'll see if I can hear you. Okay, I got that. Just keep coming south. I'm obviously on Drakensberg Road, or the link between Hippo Pools and Central Road.
Okay.
Yes, I'm creating havoc here for the other game drives. Wasn't that incredibly exciting? So unfortunately the kudu spotted them. Often if lions are hunting during the day, it's not so easy for them. And also if they're hunting with sub-adults, it'll often be difficult. Andrew, did we lose any limbs there?
All attached.
All attached? I got a huge surge of adrenaline there. That was amazingly exciting. Still stalk through there, but I'm pretty sure any kudu, any self-respecting kudu in the vicinity is long gone. Gone onto a termite mound there, probably to get a better view of things. Yeah. There's a vast swathe of vegetation here. Sorry, we're just going to go back a bit. Sorry about my directions.
No, that's okay, no problem.
Yeah, sorry, we've got to... We're going to reposition now. We're just going to... There's a bit of... bush is a bit thick in there, so quite difficult. But definitely we'll get back in there. They're on a termite mound having a look-see. We'll try and go in here. The trick, of course, is not to lose Freddie Mercury from the back, because if that happens, the screen goes blank or you get me on camera, neither of which you really want. We're going to cut across to Chris while I negotiate this area, and we'll be back with you now. You won't have to experience it with us.
Welcome back. Just for those who tuned in just now, my name is Chris. I've been invited to come and meet the team, and obviously they need to meet me as well and see what I'm capable of and what I can do. I believe James has treated you yet again with some phenomenal lion viewing. Truly amazing cats, truly amazing. We had a question earlier from Dave from Toronto, which I think was interrupted. Just want to finish off with that. Dave wanted to know the size difference between kudu, roan antelope and sable antelope, and if there's a major difference in their diet. Hi Dave, thank you yet again for the question. With those three antelope, roan antelope is the largest. It's in fact the second largest antelope in Africa, only outweighed by the eland, which can reach over 2,000 pounds in weight. Behind the roan it would be the kudu as the third largest antelope in Africa, or well, the southern greater kudu, the one that's found in southern Africa. And a touch behind kudu would be the sable antelope. It's not much of a difference between the three of them in terms of size. All three of them are fairly large antelope. As far as diet is concerned, kudu is browsers, like we mentioned earlier on the show, whereas roan and sable antelope are predominantly grazers. They eat grass. In fact, both species tend to favor areas with medium to tall grass in close proximity to water. Moderately open woodland, very much the same as you can see out here, even though we don't really see roan and sable antelope in this part. They do occur within the Greater Kruger Park area. They have been slow to recover in terms of numbers in the last 40-50 years. So both roan antelope and sable, as far as Kruger and Southern Africa is concerned, are very rare antelope and seldom seen. Yeah, Scott just pointed out a vulture sitting in a tree. We can quickly go and investigate. Vultures are often an indicator of something that has transpired. Could be an animal that has expired, or remains of a predator that's fed on something, or it could simply be a bird resting and waiting for the planet to heat up so it can fly. I know they're not everybody's favorites as far as looks are concerned, but vultures worldwide plays a very important role in cleaning up all the dead and rotten material. At least the Southern African vultures are mainly scavengers, with a few exceptions. This particular species is the most abundant one that we see in this region, the African white-backed vulture. You won't be able to see the white-back currently. It's a juvenile still, and the white only shows while it's flying. These birds are amazingly adapted for what they do. First of all, very long broad wings with what we call a low wing load, in order for them to glide and soar and use thermal rising air to take them up to heights in excess of 30,000 foot. In fact, the highest flying bird ever recorded was a vulture from East Africa, the Ruppel's vulture, which was confirmed by a military jet at 37,500 foot. That is extremely high. Just shows you how far these birds need to go to find food. Phenomenal eyesight. These birds can spot an animal lying on the ground that's expired from thousands and thousands of foot up into the air. It's one of 5 species that's commonly seen, some not so common. But this is the most abundant of the 5 found, mainly in this part of the world. For the viewers back home, we have 2 major groupings of vultures, the so-called New World and the Old World vultures. New World referring to the ones in parts of the Americas, both north and south. Old World vultures referring to the ones found in Africa and parts of Asia. One fundamental difference between the 2 major groupings is that the New World vultures tend to find their food using scent, whereas the African or Old World vultures use mainly sight and not scent to locate food. Hi, Jordan from Illinois and Sandy from New York, and several others in fact has come up with the same question on Twitter, and they want to know where have I worked before in the Kruger National Park and elsewhere. Well, currently I'm guiding in the far eastern parts of the Kruger National Park, doing both trails on foot and vehicle safari guiding. During the course of my career, it's taken me to the Sabi Sands, the area where we are now, even though it's more to the south of the actual Sabi Sands. I have done a little bit to the far northwest of the country, where I've done horseback safari. I've been involved in the management of natural areas, also within the Kruger area, and then a little bit further to the west, central parts of the Kruger National Park, a reserve called the Timbavati and Klasiri Nature Reserves, which are just like the Sabi Sand, privately owned portions of the Kruger National Park, the Greater Kruger Park area. So I've spent the bulk of my career within this particular area, so I do see myself as a bit of a low-veld specialist. We refer to this area as the low-veld, since it lies mainly below 400 feet above sea level. I have done a little bit of time elsewhere, basically non-professional, more in terms of leisure, Botswana, Namibia, basically done quite a lot of holiday in those countries, Mozambique as well, although I never actually worked in those countries, but traveled extensively, and it just all added to the broadened experience and so forth. I hope that does answer your question. We're going to continue, see if we can locate anything on those leopards from yesterday. It would be fantastic if we can finish off today with a leopard. Sorry, we need to show our magic.
The leopard is on the way, everyone, don't worry. Just give us a few minutes.
Big words, Scotty. Big words. Got a question from Curious1 on Twitter. Hi, and thank you for the question. They want to know if we have seen any leopard tracks this morning, and honestly we haven't, but we are searching. Fortunately we had the lions earlier that appeared to be quite a treat, but we are still searching. Leopards in this type of weather could very well be moving, so it doesn't mean that once we've driven a particular road that the leopard won't be on that road a little bit later. So we will keep on backtracking, keep on checking. Scott has just seen something quite unique. This is a hornbill. Just going to observe for a second what he's doing, but I suspect it's looking for food in that termite mound. It appears to be quite an active termite mound. Looking at that chimney, and termites being extremely nutritious, lots of protein, good amount of fat, is a very good meal. What I have seen the hornbills do is that if they find an opening in the termite mound, they often tap with their beaks in order to arouse the soldier termites, and they rush up, and as you can see, every now and then he'll swallow one. There we go. Question for our viewers back home: are hornbills a family of birds that are only found in Africa or not? I'll repeat the question, trivia. Hornbills, are they only found in Africa, or are they found in other parts of the world? And if possible, where in the world as well? Hi, Joanne from Arizona. Seems to be a lot of questions about my experience and where I've worked. She wants to know where I'm from. The Transvaal region of South Africa, originally. Roxanne, the Transvaal region is basically the far northern portion of the country currently. It's divided into a few other provinces, namely the Limpopo, which is the northernmost province. Portions of the old Transvaal would have included what's today Mpumalanga province, as well as the northwest. And yes, I was born and raised up in the far north of that region, very close to the far northern boundary of the country, the border. I'm from cattle farming background, and that has introduced me to nature since early childhood. I've always been a nature person, been schooled by the bush at a very, very early stage in my life, and it has definitely set the stage for what I've become today. So very grateful for that, to have had the opportunity to grow up on the countryside, grow up in quite a wild part of South Africa, and in fact in close proximity to the northern stretches of the Kruger National Park. And I can recall it was an very frequent event for us to go to the national park on holiday. It's still today a favorite of mine, and I think arguably one of the greatest wilderness areas in the world. Be slowly moving on and leaving this hornbill to his breakfast, having termites and see if we can get any further activity on leopards. Hi Katrina, Ginny and Autumn, and quite a few others in fact, who has sent through a question asking, Chris, what is your favorite animal and what other animals out of Africa would you like to see? Well folks, that is quite a broad question. Us as guides, pardon me, spending our days and careers and lives out in the bush, we see so many amazing things at times, and it's actually quite difficult to choose one particular favorite. But if I'm really pressured into choosing one particular animal as my favorite, I would say elephants. I love elephants, admire their size, very strong family bonds, and as a family man I can identify with that. Love the way the mothers teach the young calves how to use their trunk. Reminds me a lot of the time when I was young and I had to learn how to ride a bicycle, etc., etc. So us humans can often relate back to elephants, and I think they are a living example of how society should be. So I'm really, really fond of elephants as my favorite. An animal that I would really like to see out of Africa is a polar bear, for two reasons. Firstly, that I've never actually seen any snow. Scotty. But yeah, I love predators as well, and so polar bear, and then just generally any predator outside of Africa. Wolves. For those in the Americas, obviously cougars or mountain lion as you call them, go to the south. South America is the jaguar, ocelot, snow leopard definitely. Snow leopard up in the Himalayas, ranging into the Caucasus Mountains. Definitely a firm favorite. Whether I will ever be able to see them, I don't know. There's a few plans in place eventually to do that, but yeah. Any country that I do travel to will definitely include some sort of nature / wildlife aspect to it. And bear in mind, us naturalists who live out here in the bush, we'll be excited just seeing one new bird to add onto our list. Still waiting for yeah. Wow, nice, that's pretty good.
That's fine.
we're on the subject of favorite animals, there is by far one of my favorite raptors, the Batalea. Just look at that beautiful, beautiful black plumage with the white on the wings, the red face. The name Batalea is believed to be derived from an old French word that reminds of the word for a tightrope walker or an acrobat. If you look here, its wings extend quite far down. It's almost as if it does not have a tail. It does have a tail, it's just very, very short. And this does occasionally destabilize it in flight, and you often see it self-correcting it in flight, swinging and balancing very much like a tightrope walker would do. So it is somewhat descriptive. You'll often hear guides using scientific jargon. I'm not a big fan of that. However, this particular bird's got a really, really descriptive biological name, Pterothopus ecaudatus. The Pterothopus portion of it is actually Greek, referring to its pretty face or striking face. The ecaudatus, anything in Latin referring to caudal, caudus or similar, refers to a tail, and the e prefix to it is basically saying that there's a short or rudimentary tail. So the ecaudatus then refers to its very, very short tail. Pretty face, short tail. Very, very, very descriptive. Now this particular bird both takes small animals as prey, but also it's a specialist scavenger, very much like vultures do. And during my career, on numerous occasions, Batalea has led me to fresh carcasses of animals that are dragged out into trees by leopards. They are often there long before the vultures. But it is an eagle, it's in what we call the snake eagle family, and it does take animals as prey as well. I remember yesterday there was a question or two about animals being monogamous. This is another example of a monogamous bird that pairs for life, which is the case usually with most raptors. These guys usually breed late April, early April, which are much later than other eagles, which usually breeds early summer, or at least the ones that does breed here in South Africa. Quite a number of our eagles are migratory birds. Just have audio and some lions roaring.
I picked it up very briefly. They would have
been very faint.
Yeah.
It was very, very faint.
I think those could have been the same ones that James had earlier, the dominant males. We're not far from where they last had them.
Just got an update that James is still trying to find them. It just brought up a few pellets, which could be feather, bone, maybe the claw of something, which is very typical with raptors. Bear in mind, they're flesh eaters, and often they might ingest small pieces of bone and hair or feathers, even in the case of consuming other birds. But definitely one of my favorite, definitely.
It might be worth us heading to Twin Dams and just seeing
Yeah.
if those lines haven't crossed back onto our property.
Scott suggests that we go to Twin Dam and follow up on that line audio that we just had heard in the distance. So what we're going to try and do is drive to that area and see if we can find them. Hi, Kathy from Nevada and David from Michigan, who has sent us some answers on the hornbill question. And they say yes, hornbills do also occur in other parts, namely South America. Now that is correct, but they also do occur, give it away a little bit, but they also do occur in some of the other continents. But yes, you do get relatives of them occurring in the South America. So that's partially true, and well done. Got another answer from John from California. He says they also occur in Asia and the Indonesian regions, and that is 100% correct, John. Also Dave, who said they also, in addition to that, occurs in New Guinea, which is also correct. So well done to everybody who's submitted their answers. This is what it's about. It's a platform for everybody to share. Let's learn from each other. And also for those who don't know the answers, to go back to the books and just stimulate and go and read. And that's how us as guides often gain our knowledge. A lot of it is self-study. A lot of it, the onus is often on the guide itself or naturalist to gain your own knowledge base. And no, we are not walking encyclopedias all the time. There's a lot of things that we don't know. There are things that we do not understand, and that we also still have to learn. So another reason I'm quite intrigued by this type of safari, because there is this constant immediate learning aspect here. Earlier we spoke about rare antelope, and here we have the nyala, which is a very close relative of the kudu. As you can see, it's got very similar stripes down its back and its flanks. A lot smaller than kudu, for about a third the size of kudu, and more of a reddish color. Usually a creature that's found in slightly more thicker woodlands close to water. Now, in terms of male and female and how they are correctly being referred to, usually the larger antelope are referred to as a bull and a cow, just like with domestic cows, and smaller ones ram and ewe. Nyala is the animal we use as the indicator species or dividing line, where to separate that. So everything larger than Nyala, the male and female would be referred to as a bull and a cow, and everything smaller than Nyala we usually refer to as a ram and a ewe. Whereas Nyala itself, being right on the dividing line, the male fall in the larger category, so we call a male Nyala a bull, yet the female will be referred to as an ewe. I'm just going to reposition it slightly. Probably just